What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Once again, we are back with career mode, episode number 52. For the Singapore Grand Prix, we have a new upgrade heading our way for the rear downforce. That should definitely reinforce things. Downforce? Reinforce? I don't know why I found a connection there, but as you can see right there, that is the upgrade charts. Things moving fairly steadily for us in McLaren, slowly breaking away from the rest of the midfield, and the results have shown, like all the podiums we've got so far this season does indicate the strong progress we've made in season 3. But here we are in Singapore, a vastly different circuit to what we were at last time out in Monza. It's hard to tell like whether I'm going to be strong in a particular circuit or not. I feel like at this point, I think it just comes down to whether the top teams suit a particular circuit. That looks like Fernando's suiting the wet weather conditions absolutely perfectly, but as we head into Q2 it dries up. But like I was saying, honestly at this point I feel like it doesn't matter what track we go to now, as like it just comes down to what tracks suit the front running teams, because sometimes it can be Mercedes setting the pace, other times it might be Ferrari, most of the time it is Ferrari. But yeah, sometimes we do have these odd weekends where we are strangely faster than the rest of the field, and I'm hoping that this is one of them, especially after the result that Fernando Alonso managed to drag out in can't get my names right, qualifying 1 in intermediate conditions. Hamilton fastest at the moment. We come across the line with our only lap in Q2. It puts us in P6. So yeah, like I said, only doing the bare minimum in these qualifying sessions so far. I did have the sensor fault at the start of Q2, and I wanted to wait until the track was at its best before I sent the car out and did some laps. I think I am running with a slightly older power unit as well. Components number 4, maybe even number 5. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, as we head into Q3 now, we're going to throw everything at this to hopefully get ourselves inside the top 5. And hopefully Fernando Alonso can join us like he did in Q2. So far at the moment, looking pretty good. P3, 6/10 off the pace. I can still improve on that time for sure, maybe 3 or 4 tenths. Maybe more, depending on how much the track evolution comes into it. The track is still drying. Possibly it might take a while to dry, being a street circuit, and at night the temperature not quite being there, but we'll have to wait and see. So far, it's Q3, the end of the session, and we're hopefully going to see us consolidate this position in P3 at the moment. So in terms of the delta, it looks like we're just under a tenth up as we head through the first sector split, actually going purple to the rest of the field. So that seems to be a good sector for us. We're running with really high downforce as well. I think like 10, 11 wings. So there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't be fairly strong at this circuit. Through to the hairpin there in the middle sector, up by 4 tenths as we head into the third sector now. And this is also a really strong sector for us. We lose a little bit in the middle. I'm not too sure why. I've just never been good at the middle sector in Singapore, especially in league racing. But the first and the third is where we really come out to play here in this McLaren Honda. Through the final corner, across the line, I believe it is P3 again for the Singapore Grand Prix. 2 tenths away from Sebastian Vettel, so very, very close. Pretty much between everyone in Q3. The top 7, top 6 were fairly close, all separated by half a second. So, we're there or thereabouts in the mix, and we won't be taking any qualifying or grid drops for this race, which is refreshing to see. We'll be able to fight from the front and potentially contest for the victory of this Singapore Grand Prix. We have some resource points as well to spend. We might be saving those for a major downforce upgrade, like I alluded to at the end of the last episode. We're getting to the business end of this season now, and these major, upgrades could really send us a long way towards being the fastest car. So if you have a look at what we have on offer, we have the major tire wear upgrade, which is like 1,300 points. We could do the major weight reduction upgrade. That's also another 1,300 points, but we have to go through the minor weight reduction upgrade before we get to that. So in terms of like getting the most value for money, I've said this many times, I still think we should go down the downforce route, and we can go straight for some major downforce upgrades on the front and the rear now. We're in a position to do both of those. So that's what we'll be doing. Hopefully at the end of this episode, after the race, we should have enough resource points to do that. But in terms of the power units, we're going to switch up the ICE to one that is slightly fresher. Looking at the rest of the components, everything looks fairly fine, around 30-40%. That should be able to get through the race without going above 50%. We might just sneak over, but we'll be pretty much dedicating this power unit to being a practice one after this race. But that's qualifying. Great starting position for the race. Time for the Singapore Grand Prix, where hopefully we can get another win.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have a McLaren, Verstappen, Sergio Perez, and Hamilton, Hülkenberg, Massa, Sainz, and Roman Grosjean, Kvyat, Magnussen, Esteban Ocon, and Ricciardo, Alonso.
What a drivers we are racing with. Unbelievable. Poor guys.
Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Okay, you've qualified higher than we expected, so let's try to build on this position throughout the race.
Thank you very much, Jeff, and welcome guys to the Singapore Grand Prix. As you saw there, Fernando Alonso qualifying so well at one of his best tracks, his best chance to possibly get a podium this season, and he's well into the teens for the starting position for the race. I cannot believe his luck. We're going to get through this entire McLaren career mode, and he's not even going to get on the podium, is he? But here we go, ready for the start of the race. 5 red lights for the Singapore Grand Prix, and we are underway. It looks like I slightly missed the start, ever so slightly, but doesn't prevent us from losing a position as we head into turn 1. We've got Verstappen alongside up the inside, but I think we might just about hold on that position. We've got Valtteri Bottas up next, Sebastian Vettel leading the Grand Prix, so it's all pretty much as you were this initial getaway. So that's all I can really ask for so far. We'll continue to build on the pace that we have at the moment, but it looks like on this opening lap, the leaders have a lot of pace versus me, but I'm going to try and do my best to really dig in and try and catch those guys up ahead. I am struggling a little bit in the early phases of this race, the back end sliding around a little bit, so that's something I'll have to manage over the course of the race. We can tune that up as we go along. We'll lower the diff and hopefully make the rear tires, you know, grip a little bit easier, make it a little bit, you know, more pleasant for those tires, because at the moment we're just applying the throttle a little bit too quickly, sliding the back end out a little bit too much, and by doing that it should make things a little bit easier for us in those slower speed corners. But as we head on to lap 4, we started to get our confidence, we started to get our rhythm a little bit, and you can see we're now in the DRS of Valtteri Bottas once again, going purple to the first sector, so this is all good signs as we look to move forward in this Grand Prix. Valtteri looks like he's, oh wow, that is much closer than half a second there as we get to the hairpin, but unfortunately didn't really have the tenacity through the middle sector to really do anything about that. We seem to be really strong, like I said earlier in the video, through Sector 1 and Sector 3. We always lose out a little bit in the middle sector, which is a little bit frustrating. I think in the straights as well, we're not that great. But as you can follow here, on the back straight here into the first sector split, we lose a little bit of time to Bottas. Again, we lose it on that back straight after that hairpin. But when we get to the third sector here, this is where we make up the time. And if anything, if we're looking to make a move on Bottas, it's probably got to be out of the final corner and on the run into the first, you know, few corners. 1, 2, and 3, we seem to be very strong there. So as you can see there, mounting a lot of curve through the final corner. DRS is open, rich revs. We might have a little look up the inside into turn 1 if we can. We can see we brake later than Bottas and we might dive it. No, turning into Crofty, aren't I? I'm just looking at every opportunity I can get, because at the moment I'm not fast in a straight line, and I'm not really fast in the areas where the overtaking zones are, so it's really frustrating having to grind away, trying to stay as close to Bottas as I possibly can through this third sector now on lap 6. We look as close as what we've ever been. There's a yellow flag behind us. I believe Lewis Hamilton is out of the Grand Prix, who was catching us at a vast rate of knots in the last few laps, and he just doesn't even have an engine failure. It's just some other kind of issue that has set him aside in this Grand Prix. No smoke billowing, so yeah, that is terminal for Lewis Hamilton out of this Grand Prix. The Mercedes has been absolutely dreadful for reliability this season, but we're in the slipstream. We might go for a dive up the inside into turn 1, and that is us up into second place in this Singapore Grand Prix. Nice move, like really nice move. We had to use all of the slipstream there, rich revs, and we just dived for the apex, right in the braking zone. Pretty much caught Bottas napping there. We were in his slipstream the whole time. And yeah, we only popped out there as soon as we started diving to the inside. So really committed move, perfect, job done. Next up is Sebastian Vettel, so we'll see what we can do for the dying laps of this first stint here in this Singapore Grand Prix. So Yeah, if there's anyone who's going to be really hard to catch, it's going to be Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari. It looks after its tyres very well, very solid in the corners, team radio.
Engine is showing small signs of wear. Power output will be down.
And when we have issues like that arising, it makes things that much harder. You can see I'm frustrated at that because I actually made a last-minute call to switch back to ICE number 4. I actually switched that after the editing. I was going to go for a fresher internal combustion engine, one that was around 30% or something like that, but I opted for the older one. I don't know why, because we could have potentially thrown away a chance at winning this Grand Prix. Now that the engine has gone over 50%, you lose a little bit of horsepower and pretty much give away free lap time pretty much everywhere, and it's only going to be getting worse as we progress through this Grand Prix. I only have to hope that Sebastian Vettel's engine goes a little bit towards the end of this Grand Prix. We'll have to wait and see, though. I mean, if there is a track of any around this, Formula One calendar, Monaco and Singapore, probably Hungary as well, one of those tracks where you would chuck in an older engine just to get through. But as we rejoin on the track, Valtteri Bottas got the undercut on us, and he just emerges in front of us. He's on the ultra soft tyres as well, so in effect, this isn't the worst result in the world because Valtteri is going to be faster out of all of us in the field, and I'm hoping with his softer compound tyres he can chase after Sebastian and give him a little bit of trouble, maybe hold him up in this Grand Prix. That's at least what I'm hoping for, is Sebastian gets past one of the Toro Rossos who hasn't stopped yet, and now Valtteri is kind of encountering that traffic, but it looks like he's having a tougher time of things, really getting held up behind this Toro Rosso, so much so that it allows me to catch up by about 2 or 3 seconds, and now we're pretty much all over the back of Valtteri here as we head through the third sector. Again, this is coming up to the zone where we're really strong around the circuit, so we might have a little look here into turn 1 if we can get a nice exit, rich revs, open the DRS slipstream. Bottas is going to go to the inside signs, defends, and Valtteri is basically caught napping there. He was caught in 2 minds there and wasn't able to get the move done before we overtook him. So, yeah, pretty much, 2 steps forward, 1 step back for Bottas as he goes around the outside of signs. I think he did get him in the end, but we were the massive winner out of that, getting past both of them in the process. But unfortunately, it looks like Sebastian Vettel has stretched out his lead just a little bit too much. It's over 5 seconds now after that battle, so from here on in, it's going to take a lot, and I mean a lot of consistent fast laps over the course of this Grand Prix in order to chase him down. And with our tyre wear, we haven't put any upgrades on the car as of yet. You'd hazard a guess to say that maybe it might be too much of an ask to do that, but we still have one more stop to do over the course of this race. I think we'll both be doing that fairly soon. Valtteri Bottas has already dived in for his second stop and has gone on to ultra soft tyres again. I can't remember what tyres he started on, but if he's only run ultras so far, then he needs to stop again to put the supers on. But meanwhile, Sebastian Vettel dealing with some lap traffic in the form of the Renault. We're still about 10 seconds back in second place. I saw like a few cars diving into the pits on that lap. I thought it was going to be Sebastian, but as we cut to the replay camera, you can see he is still carrying on, and it's starting to get to the point where I'm wondering whether he's actually going to stop again in this Grand Prix. If he doesn't, then that would be, I don't know, somewhat of a miracle. Our tyres as well aren't faring actually too bad. 33% after doing, 12 laps? Maybe even more on them on the supers. So I don't know if I included it in the video, but I did ask Jeff at some stage like what the tyre wear was going to be like, because I was feeling like maybe we could have gone to the end. Team radio.
Vettel ahead, gap to car in front is 13.0 seconds. We're falling back by around 1.2 seconds a lap. They're on old super softs. We think they've got one more stop.
Okay, so Sebastian is still going to come in for his final stop of the Grand Prix, but there's only 8 laps left in this race. We're getting to a point where it's probably becoming a little bit useless diving into the pits to change our tyres. So as we cut on to lap 24, we overtake Sebastian Vettel, who finally dives into the pits to make his stop. But if you look at our tyres, they're only at 38%, so I think there's still a little bit of life left in them. So I thought, we're in the lead, we're 10 seconds in front of Vettel, and he's already made his stop. I think these tyres can go to the end here, so let's just have a massive gamble and see if we can win this race. This is our best chance. If we dive into the pits now, there's absolutely no way. We're like secluding ourselves to second place, and Who wants to settle for second? Let's go for it, risk it for the chocolate biscuit, and hopefully get another win in this season of F1 2017 career mode. So here we go, 5 laps left in the Grand Prix. I was getting a bit unhappy with the traffic. The Saab were getting in the way there. The AI always let you go through in the middle of the corner, which, you know, doesn't make any sense to me because it holds everyone up. It costs people more time, but now it looks like Sebastian is starting to close in on said traffic. And this is where the Grand Prix is going to be won or lost, because the AI often don't deal with traffic very well, but sometimes the lap cars let other AI through easier, if that makes sense. But Sebastian has been absolutely closing us in rapidly, like a second or two a lap. It's been absolutely outrageous.
Safety car, no overtaking, reduce your pace.
And the safety car is out. Okay. So this completely changes the race. It absolutely turns it on its head. There was a bit of contact made between Jolyon Palmer and Sebastian Vettel through turn 1. Now, there could be a penalty possibly looming for Sebastian, but I think he'll be fine. I think he'll get away with that. But safety car is being deployed. I did resist the temptation to dive into the pits and fit on a set of ultra soft tyres, but I thought, given how many laps are left in this race and how hard it is to overtake, especially with the amount of downforce that I'm running, I feel like our best chance is to stay out on these older tyres, especially with the kind of lap cars between myself and Sebastian. Then I think we're half a chance to do this, but it's going to take an awfully good restart. We're going to have to hope that the lap cars get in the way, because Sebastian is going to have a whole bundle of pace in these final... I think we're going to get 2 laps of green flag running, and Kimi Räikkönen is also going to rejoin onto the back of the queue. It's hard to say what would have happened if the safety car didn't come out. Maybe Sebastian would have caught me with 2 laps to go anyway, and there wouldn't have been the lap traffic to contend with. But either way, this is the scenario we have, and we have to defend this lead for the final 2 laps of this Singapore Grand Prix. And I think this, if we can do this, this will be race win number 5, I think. 5 wins in a season is almost unheard of for me, but the tyres are now over 50%. It's literally just a case of whatever we have left in this race, we're going to throw at, you know, trying to channel as much pace as we can. Here we go for the restart. The Sauber follows us quite nicely. I think there's a Renault going up the inside of Sebastian Vettel through the final corner, and he lost a bit of touch there with the 2 lap cars behind me, but nice restart so far. The lap traffic is not going to challenge me at all. We should be able to pull a bit of a gap as Sebastian starts to lap those guys and they slow down for him. So we carry on to halfway through the lap 30, and Sebastian has already dispatched the 2 lap cars and has closed the gap to literally nothing. This is how much pace he has in that Ferrari, especially with those fresh ultra soft tyres. Look at the behaviour of my car, sliding out around everywhere as I try and extract everything that I have left in these tyres. I think we're fine for fuel. It's really just the tyres that are the limiting factor for me, but here we go, final lap on the straight. Nice exit, well, it could have been better, but rich revs. This is where we have to keep Sebastian Vettel behind. This is his best chance to overtake us in this Grand Prix. We defend to the inside, and he goes around the outside through the left-hander. I think we'll have to leave him space there as well. It's side by side. We touch wheels on the last lap of this Singapore Grand Prix, still there up the inside, but thankfully enough for though, we have the inside for the next left-hander. Sebastian with that better grip. Doesn't matter what line he takes, he can still hold it in there with that Ferrari. And he might take the lead here if he can move around the outside here. We mount the curb. Really brave stuff for the 2 of us. I've got the first run around the outside for the first time in a while. And we actually hold on there through the middle sector. That was absolutely insane. Look at this. Final lap of the Grand Prix. Everything on the line. And Kimi Räikkönen was right there as well. I didn't realise how close he was. This is a great shot as well, by the way. Sebastian is leaving way too much space, and then he made contact with his teammate there, but I think Sebastian rejoins in front of Kimi Räikkönen only just. So, yeah, what a race. It's not over yet, because Sebastian Vettel is right behind us. There's a sector to go in the Grand Prix, and, you know, any slip-up we make now is pretty much fatal for our race. Like, one slip-up, we could not only lose the lead, but probably fall off the podium as well. Such is the proximity of the 2 Ferraris behind us. But as we go through the tunnel section, I think it should all be pretty academic here as I lose the back end. Almost lose the lead there, but it's fine. Through the final couple of corners, and this is going to be race win number 5 for the Singapore Grand Prix, and what a race it was.
Great drive. We did it. Good job.
man. You guys have no idea how happy I actually was once I crossed the line and realized that I won the race, because at no point did I feel like I was going to win. I always felt like I was behind the 8 ball in terms of pace. It just so happened that Sebastian Vettel, you know, pitted with like 7 or 8 laps to go. The safety car came out and I thought, 100% he's going to overtake me. He's got so much pace. We battled for half a lap on the final lap of the Grand Prix and we managed to fend him off. I honestly can't believe that. Race win number 5. Kimi Räikkönen home in 3rd as well. That's incredible. This is like, it's these kind of days where you look back at where you won the championship, and this is possibly one of them. Like winning under like extreme, adversity like that with Sebastian, having all that pace. I was just lucky that I was able to stay as close to him as what I did over the course of the race. His consistency throughout was absolutely amazing. But yeah, in the end, we win the race. And we lead by 44 points now, #blessed, over Kimi Räikkönen. So, yeah, things are looking absolutely marvellous. We overtake Mercedes, AMG, Petronas as well in the Constructors. I think 12 points back to them as well with Fernando. I can't remember if he got points today, but yeah, either way, good result for not only the drivers, but the Constructors as well. We have some decent amount of points as well for the resource point, and we might potentially spend those in this episode here, depending if we have enough to do the major downforce upgrade. The rivalry up against Sebastian Vettel, we're only just sneaking ahead of him at the moment, which is a bit of a joke, to be honest. Like, we can be outscoring him by, I don't know, 50, 60 points in the championship, but we still only barely managed to beat him in the rivalry. Something's a little bit up there, but either way, we have enough points to upgrade the front downforce, and if we do so, it'll be on the car in time for Japan. So that looks like pretty brilliant timing, because Japan is a really high-speed circuit. We seem to lack a little bit in the downforce side of things, and if that upgrade does go on the car, as well as the ultimate drag reduction upgrade, that'll mean we have the best aero package out of anyone in the field, and that's actually quite remarkable, because at the start of the season, you know, aero was the one weakness we had. It was our worst trait of the car, and in one season, with a few discount upgrades, as well as all the development we've done with sponsor bonuses and how well we've performed on track, it's potentially going to put us in a position where we're the best car in terms of downforce, and that absolutely blows my mind. But guys, that has been this episode for today, the Singapore Grand Prix. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. The next race will be Malaysia. No upgrades coming for that race, but we've got some pretty sizable ones coming for Japan, and then also USA if they do go on the car. We've got the major front downforce, and then we have the ultimate drag reduction upgrade. Really looking forward to the close of this season. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more F1 2017 content. And yeah, until the next one, I will see you next time.